All right. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. And for those of you who got in on time, doubly thanks to you. We've got a large number of attendees today. I appreciate all the attention that we've got for today's Yotta Know webinar series. This is probably my favorite one that we've done so far, based off of some of the things that have happened here at Yotta in the last few weeks. Today's topic is who is Yotta? And today we'll be taking a look at Yotta, the company, where we started, where we're going, some big product announcements that some of you may have seen coming out of our launch event that we had last week. My name is Ryan Davies. I am the head of sales for Yotta Energy. And the special guest that we have today is our CEO, my boss, Mr. Omid Badkube. Omid, thanks for joining us today.
Ryan, thanks for having me.
Well, it's easy. You're the boss. You tell me what to do, and I show up. So you're an easy guest to have.
I love that you knew this was going to be your favorite one before it happened. So we have to make sure we own up.
Yeah, legitimately, it is my favorite one, and not just because I get to have a nice conversation with you, but I think because of what we've been able to bring to the market in the last few weeks, a lot of the products that we've announced at our launch event on Friday night, and heading into RE Plus, there's a lot of anticipation. I think inside the company and outside. So this is the one I'm looking forward to the most because I think it bridges our launch event, RE Plus, new announcements, brings them all into one nice little spot. But we have a little bit of housekeeping we have to do before that. As is the norm, we will be giving away a Yotta prize, a swag bag, hand selected by our marketing team for one individual at the end of the event. So we'll be announcing that name at the end. Also, we're going to have a Q&A that takes place at the end. So now's your chance to ask our CEO any questions that you might have. So enter them into the chat and we'll address them as best we can, time allowing, at the end of the webinar. And without further ado, let's get started. Omid, why don't you tell our viewers today a little bit about how Yotta gets started, the general principles behind what we do, and where we're headed.
Sure thing, Ryan. So Yotta got started roughly 5 years ago with two guys in garages tinkering on a concept to take energy storage to the next level. We'd like to think that we took the pioneering torch that was created in the industry by module level power electronics and how much they simplified systems and brought value. And having installed many battery backup systems in my career, I thought there had to be a better way to do energy storage. We had to make it simpler, easier to deploy, and bring more value. And so we started off with this concept of panel level energy storage, a battery literally behind a solar panel. And in order to do that, we have to solve one of the toughest problems, which is thermal management. How can you put a battery on a rooftop and go through the harshest of winters and the heat of, let's say, the Texas sun, and make the battery last? And then how do you make it extremely safe? From there, as we were very much in tune with the industry, we realized that everything is moving towards a solutions-based approach. Installers, developers, EPCs, they really want one manufacturer to give the full gamut of the ecosystem to really scale this technology. And it made sense for us to transition to not only focusing on a battery, but power conversion. And so that's what led us to the DPI dual power inverter that we'll talk about. And then we went a step further and said, well, what's next? A big driver of the consumption for electricity and the growth of this market is going to be driven by electric vehicles. So it only made sense to move in that e-mobility sector as well. So Yotta started with a concept for panel level storage, but we've morphed into an ecosystem of products for the C&I sector, and all evolving around our newly announced theme, which is energy made simple. We believe that everything we do here at Yotta is to make solar energy and energy storage easy and simple to use. And by making it simple, you can grow the market. So we're currently at around 40 employees. We've won many awards and contracts. We're an awesome team, awesome culture. Everyone that comes to work here loves to be here. It's just an amazing thing to see after the hard work. And it hasn't always been easy. Folks should know that when you start a company, unless you have 10 years of your life to give away and a deep passion, you should probably not do it. We almost closed doors during COVID and moved on with life, but miraculously the the I would say the fire that exists here just kept burning. So
Yeah,
you should probably
I'd
not
like to
use that
speak.
analogy.
Yeah, we don't say the F word. Um, yeah, I think I want to speak to that in regards to the company culture. For anybody who's listening, we are still actively hiring at both sales and engineering positions. So if you like what you hear today and you think you might be a good fit for the team, please reach out. There'll be contact information at the end of the presentation where you can reach out to us or find Omid or myself on LinkedIn and let us know. The amount of activity that's going on here is increasing exponentially, and so we're always looking for good people to join the team. There was something that you talked about the other night in referring to this slide here, and I wondered if you wanted to expand on this. I thought this was pretty interesting.
Yeah, so this is from the launch event, and it's just showing that solar is growing. Back when I got into solar 15 years ago, and it's just been on an exponential growth. But you'd be surprised to know that with all this growth, we're still only at 4% of total global consumption of energy from solar energy, right? 4% is not a whole lot, and we've got a long ways to go. And then you look in the C&I market in the United States, and it happens to be in only 4% of commercial buildings have solar today. Yet the C&I buildings they consume 75% of all total consumption, and account for 35% of total carbon dioxide emissions. So you want to make an impact in solar, you focus on the C&I market because that's where you're going to get the biggest social impact and environmental impact.
Well, I'm going to do the next part of this a little out of order. At the launch event, we kind of had a centerpiece announcement that we ended the presentation with, but I'm going to start with that. I don't want to bury the lead here for people who might be interested, who had seen some things on social media. Look at this beauty. I'm not even going to say another word. I mean, I'm just going to let you talk about exactly what it is that we're looking at right here.
Yeah, so this is a product called REV. It's revolutionary. It's rapidly deployable. It's renewable energy, solar powered, and it's designed for remote locations. The concept of this literally started on a napkin with our head of industrial design, and it came from our desire. I mean, I've driven electric vehicles now for 7 years, and through that time, I've always wondered, okay, well, we have home charging and we have these corridors on the highways for charging, but what if I want to go to the beautiful national parks? What if I want to go to like remote camping sites? How am I going to charge? I have to worry about topping off and then going and coming back, right? So I knew there's got to be a better way. And then there's often three major complaints that naysayers give against electric vehicles. Though, believe it or not, there's still people out there that somehow think that it's a fad and it's not going to happen. A lot of them. I mean, just look at LinkedIn posts. So there are three major things. And one is that there's not enough chargers, especially in remote areas. Well, this can solve that. We can deploy this in like 48 hours. The second is, well, we're still charging electric vehicles from the dirty fossil fuel-based grid. Like, well, that's true. Well, here's a product that predominantly, it's not only dependent on solar, but it's primarily charged by solar. And the third thing is, and a question that no one really has asked, and what's going to happen when there's a power outage, right? In California, we have these PSPS outages. I mean, what do you do when someone hasn't prepared and they don't have a full charge and they can't escape, or during a hurricane? I mean, it's a real thing to think about. And every REV unit that's built by default can operate in a closed loop to function with or without the grid. So we say this is grid optional. And this product is very different than the other products that we're doing, as you'll see, but it all ties to the same theme, and that's making energy simple, whether it's energy to charge electric vehicles, energy for buildings. We think is a very simple product to roll out. And then it utilizes some of our core DNA, our advanced thermal design for the batteries, the fact that we can deploy these in extremely cold climates and know that the batteries are taken care of, as well as Arizona, and know that the batteries are taken care of. So we're very excited about this product. We have a lot of interest coming in from cities and municipalities and national parks, and can't wait to see these. I mean, my dream is to go on a week vacation to a national park and use one of these. So, I know, Brian.
I think there's so many applications for this where this can be used, right? I think you hit the nail on the head easily, especially as they're portrayed here in the photographs, national parks. But there's other opportunities, right? Festivals, a Burning Man type situation, our own Austin city limits, agricultural impact, communications. There's just so many different ways you can go with this. Um, I think that
Even in urban areas. I mean, we've
right.
been using the Rev here at work, charging 4 vehicles simultaneously, and it's great. I mean, in some cases, it's cheaper probably to have this than to try to upgrade a transformer and trench through concrete to put enough chargers, right? And what you pulled up here is the Rev XL, the Core XL, which is basically 2 units with a coupling put together. This is for, if you really want to have a resting area and have enough chargers, we can actually do up to 16 EV chargers off of this design. So you can charge 16 vehicles simultaneously. And then commercial fleets. As I said in the presentation, one of the excuses that the post office gave and why they couldn't do 100% electric new vehicles for mail delivery was that they didn't have a way to charging them. Well, that's utter BS, because they could just purchase a few of these and recharge fleets. So
speaking of purchasing, when is this available? When do we anticipate this hitting the market?
Available practically tomorrow, I think. Contact your Yotta sales rep and they'll have the final details. The lead time for this is going to probably be somewhere about 12 to 15 weeks now. But then there are some stock options that we have. And then, of course, the custom options might take a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think, too, that based on the presentation, some of the social media that went out, we are getting a lot of inquiries already. The team has been fielding a lot of questions about availability and pricing. So, yeah, our general contact is sales@yottaenergy.com, or if you happen to know who your sales rep is, or hit up me, Ryan@yottaenergy.com, and I'll be able to direct you to the right place. But definitely a lot of attention. And if you're interested in hearing more about this particular product, unfortunately, we couldn't get it, I don't think, to RE Plus next week, but we'll have tons of information on this at the show.
We tried.
And I think we did try. It wasn't for lack of effort. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But I think you mentioned something before in regards to the new company motto and how it fits into the real ethos of what it is that we're doing here, and energy made simple. Can you address that thought process behind energy made simple and maybe how Rev relates to it before we head into the rest of our?
And we'll point out something here, Ryan. We were very careful not to say solar energy made simple or storage made simple, because we really believe that solar energy is going to be a dominant industry, just like oil and gas is today. So we are going to become a global energy company, and we're going to make energy simple. If it's clean and at some point in the future, Yotta exists 50 years from now, if it makes sense, we're going to do it. If it provides energy, but it's all going to be based around this theme of making it very simple to use, bringing value to customers, and treating customers right from now till forever. Right.
And now we're going to talk a little bit about the Yotta ecosystem. What we see here, there may be a few things that people are familiar with, our regular viewers of our Yotta Know webinar series. You'll see things here like the solar leaf, our DPI microinverter. There's a new addition in the bottom corner there in our EV charger, as well as the Yotta Vision portal. But I think what we'll do first, if it's all right with you, I mean, we'll talk about the newest addition to this ecosystem, which is our EV charger option.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, and so I guess the motivation to do an EV charger was the fact that we believe that a big part of the growth in the C&I market is going to be driven by EV charging. It's almost become the lead generation. And if you're going to be designing and engineering a plan set and having electrical engineers and electricians out, why not powered with solar and storage, and vice versa? If you're going to be doing solar and storage and having customer acquisition and everything that goes into a deployment, why not go ahead and knock out EV charging, right? So it just makes so much sense to do it all at the same time. A lot of the financiers in this market have already come to accept that you can roll in EV charging into a PPA structure, which is the way to go. I think, just make it very simple for the end customer. And then these are the two models. So we were doing a lot of projects and we were buying someone else's simple chargers, and we said, hey, there's got to be something better that we can come to the market with. And that's where we got to work. And so the difference between this charger and any other is, one, it looks great. We hyper focused on the CNI market. So we have pedestals for them, and the pedestals are very cost effective. I mean, there are some companies that charge $5,000 for their pedestal, which is more expensive than charger. And it's just like steel and some cables. Doesn't make sense. And then the other thing is being in tune with the market. We knew that it would be great to have a selectable output. And so this product comes standard for 48 amps, which is 11.5 kW, which is almost the max of most vehicles. There's only 3 vehicles in the market today that can charge at a slightly higher rate than that. But that's the max AC charging rate for most vehicles. A lot lower than that. But then you can down select. You can go down. Let's say you're trying to have 6 chargers on a transformer, and being able to select down to 40 amps allows you to do that, or 32 amps. And so that's what makes this really custom tailored for the CNI market. We have, there's a typo here. It's just to be OCPP capable management. So this can be tied into other platforms for billing systems and so forth. And those are things that we'll be rolling out over time. The network, a big problem with chargers today is the fact that a network goes down, they stop working. We have 3 options. We have LAN by default, we have Wi-Fi, and we have an additional 4G option for the product, which is huge. And then the last thing is the dynamic control. So this will be tied to the Yotta Vision gateway, where we can dynamically control so that if there's a spike in power, we can either dispatch energy storage or throttle down these chargers to make sure that we're not throwing the demand charges out of whack for a building. So both of these will be available. We were expecting the first shipment of the EV1 anytime now, and the EVD will be available in January, but we are starting to accept orders.
And yeah, we certainly are. We've seen those orders start to come in for this. It's just amazing how much this particular market segment has lifted off, really, even in just the last year. I mean, it's always been there, but the amount of attention that's being paid to it, gosh, even in the last 6 months, has been rather dramatic. And so it's nice to see that we were forward thinking there and able to provide a solution. So
yeah, and if you're a commercial solar EPC or developer out there, I mean, you should just go in and bring this as a value-added service. I mean, the cost of adding a few chargers, if done by the same installation crew, is very minimal, but it can bring a tremendous amount of value to the project.
I think people would be surprised at how minimal that cost actually is. I think that's something that's worth looking into. It's certainly not as expensive as some people might think. They're always surprised at the cost that goes into that.
And this is our product. I mean, we are always high quality, but we want to bring extreme value to the market. This is designed to compete against ChargePoint and Clipper Creek, which was acquired by Enphase. So this product offering from Yotta is designed to go neck and neck against those companies, and you'll see the value. We're about half the cost in some cases.
I think you talked about this at the beginning, and this is, I think, a real, this speaks to the drive that we've got here internally and the solutions that we're trying to bring to the market. Commercial buildings use 75% of the nation's electricity, responsible for 35% of the country's carbon dioxide, and only 4% of commercial buildings have solar. I mean, that's shocking when you look at these buildings, and they're made for PV. Now, why do you think that? What's been the barriers to getting CNI on board with PV? I mean,
yeah, and just so this is from energy.gov. Forgot to put that in here, just so no one thinks that we're making up these numbers. But we know the barriers that have existed in CNI. It is a difficult sales cycle. When you're selling residential solar, you're knocking on a door, or you've met a homeowner, and it's a quick emotional appeal. And when you're selling CNI, there are layers of tenants and building owners and REITs, right? Another factor is that there hasn't been financing structures in the past, but that's no longer an issue at all. There are financier asset owners knocking down doors to finance projects today. But a big key one is the price of power and the demand for the consumption of electricity. You don't have to be hidden behind a rock to know that the price of power is growing very rapidly. I mean, look what's happening in Europe. Electric vehicles used to be seen as more economical against gas, but now with the price of electricity spikes, it's like neck and neck in Europe. And that can happen here too. And what happens naturally when everyone starts adopting electric vehicles is there's higher demand, prices go up. And so it makes all these available rooftops very attractive places to deploy solar energy. And now we have very compelling technologies. We have completely ballasted systems that don't require any roof penetrations. Our architecture, as we'll go over, is completely mounted on the roof, so you don't have to worry about walls of inverters or battery shipping containers around the ground. So I mean, we're primed for growth for this market. We think this market has so much potential. And then when you get into what's called aggregation, into virtual power plants, and you can dispatch this power, I mean, it becomes a completely different market. And then all of these rooftops will be seen as, not what can we offset for this tenants, but what is the revenue potential of this square footage of roof on all this available rooftop space. And that's the market that we see. And that's what we're going after.
And one of the unique ways we're going after, and I think this next product that we're going to discuss is something that's very near and dear to your heart, because this is really the baby that started it all. And it's certainly what interested me originally. There's no mystery in that. I mean, it's the excitement that I had for this particular product when you and I first met a few years ago, and I just joined the team in January. So I've been watching this solar leaf kind of emerge into the genre defying product that it is today. What can you tell our viewers today about the solar leaf and what it's going to do to change and revolutionize the market?
Yeah. So just so everyone knows, solar leaf is still my original baby. Just sometimes you got to wait for some maturity. It's been a long journey. COVID and all of the component shortages and supply chain issues certainly did not help. It knocked us back quite a bit. I mean, we're competing against some of the largest companies in the world for components and having to redesign it. It was just a painful journey, but we're now here at the final stage of launching it with production happening all over UL certifications. And it's a very exciting product. Like, there's nothing else like this on the market. It's a modular battery. We use safe LFP technology. We have fireproofing built in with the advanced thermal management. I mean, this thing did so well in its UL 9548 fire testing that there was no effects on the exterior of the product whatsoever, which is amazing, right? It's completely scalable and augmentable. So you can put as many as one battery or one behind every solar module. And it replaces a ballast block. So on CNI ballasted systems, instead of putting 2 concrete blocks, you mount this battery. And then, of course, it brings the same benefits of microinverters, where we can dial in and see what the performance of every battery is and what's stored inside and when it's being discharged. So this is just, it's a revolutionary product. People have asked, well, why aren't you doing this for residential? Well, again, we see that we bring more value today for CNI, and we want to use this market to grow into first. But
yeah, not out of the question. Stay tuned, folks. There's always conversations about the future and what's going to happen here. But yeah, specifically right now, the opportunity that we've got to provide a storage solution to areas where maybe it wouldn't have been allowed. I mean, listen, just because people want to have a battery solution doesn't mean they can get one for a number of different reasons. Forget the economics. Some people just don't have the space. Right? That convenience store down the road, the gas station, that storage unit or the storage space they've got in there, that's all for, Coca-Cola and Snapple bottles to be stacked up. They don't have room for a lot of batteries. Right? And this solves that problem rather dramatically.
Yeah, even if they had the space, Ryan, it's like, why would you want to give it up for a permanent shipping container? Or, if you could put a shipping container here, but then the interconnect for the building is on the other side, then you have to account for that cost. Right. And let's face it, a big portion of this market is going to be real estate property companies. And if they had a solution that can go on rooftops and not ever get in the way of their tenants, they're going to love it. And they do.
Yeah, that's a great point, too. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so you don't have to worry about somebody messing around somewhere where they shouldn't. And from a safety concern, that's a big deal to have that stuff removed from areas where, sneaky hands can get anywhere near them. This is a nice way to keep this stuff out of sight, out of mind with the rest of the array.
You won't know that it's there. I mean, you pull up to a commercial building, all you would see is EV chargers, disconnects near the meters, and then you have a fully functioning solar plus storage system on the rooftop. And that's elegance.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect word for it. Elegance is exactly the perfect word. And to pair it, I mean, there's so much more we could say about this, but in the interest of time, we do have to move on. And we do have regular webinars where we focus on these particular products. So if you're interested in learning more about the Leaf, not only reach out to us and talk, but also watch out on our social media pages, because we do webinars that are just solely focused on the solar Leaf. We're just solely focused on Rev, and some others that are focused specifically on this product, which I'm really excited to be getting our hands on. Our DPI 208 and our DPI 480 3-phase microinverter. I mean, you want to talk about the DPI?
Sure. So first off, DPI stands for dual power inverter. And the reason we chose dual is because there's dual inputs there. You can either have this exclusively on solar, or you can have a solar Leaf input into that same, output into the same input, right? So it has a duality there, and I don't want to confuse it because it's a quad microinverter. There's 4 ports. So some people get confused by that, but this is a revolutionary product. This is through our strategic partnership with AP Systems. And we work very closely with them on making this for Yotta to integrate into our gateway and to with our firmware and to be a part of our system. But from day one, the reason we chose to partner with AP was because of this product. We knew that we wanted to scale into larger systems. So this thing, there's no limits. I mean, you get to 2-3 megawatts. You can do 208 or 480, and that meets all the US market requirements. Extremely plug and play, storage ready. So you simply, if you have an array, we call it storage ready without solar Leafs, you can come back at any point, disconnect the MC4, make sure they're matching, of course, and then input the solar Leaf in between the module and this input and update the gateway. And just like that, you've added energy storage. It is rapid shutdown compliant. This is really important. We're rapid shutdown compliant because we never have high voltage, right? We never exceed the output, the VOC of the solar module, because they input into this in parallel, right? And this is really huge. Most of the issues that we're having today with fire risk, they're either caused by mismatched connectors or even light connectors over time breaking down, getting moisture inside, or they're actually caused by the very devices that are there to protect against this kind of issue, which is the rapid shutdown devices, which just add another layer of complexity. When you have a string inverter, which I think is your next slide, and then on top of that, you're adding RSD devices, you're actually having more points of complication, more points of failure, more points of lack of safety. This basically solves for all of that and makes storage plug and play and removes the inverter from where do I have to mount it, because this mounts elegantly on the same racking that we use for the market and gives you data, and the data is important as well. So if I'm an asset owner and I financed the system over 20 years, man, if I had the ability to dial into a rooftop and make sure that everything's working properly, why would I not want that? And it's so advanced that, once a customer installs the system, before they leave the site, they can do a communications check, and they can actually pinpoint if there's any loose connections, if it's a DC related issue or an AC related issue, before they leave the job site. Once they turn that system, once the sun starts shining, they can know that everything was installed properly. You know how much money that's going to save from a quality Q&A, approach for EPCs, especially when they have, temp workers working on these systems. You're not worried about high voltage arcing. I mean, it is going to be amazing, the features this brings against string inverters, as you see here, right? And it costs fractionally more than a string inverter plus rapid shutdown plus mounting of the rapid shutdown.
Yeah, I think affectionately on the sales side, we like to say it is microinverter technology at optimizer pricing. It really bridges the gap between those two, in a very effective way. And this isn't necessarily new technology. This is technology that has been around for a while, but don't just optimize for the CNI space.
Yeah, and what's new is, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ryan.
No,
what's new is that it's a native 3-phase output with 3-wire system. That's really never been done before. And then the cost. I mean, cost matters. People want to have something that's cost effective, and this is
especially in commercial. Especially in commercial. And I think it's important to note, I will be addressing the questions at the end, but there was something that just popped up. I do want to note that the 208 and 40, they're 2 separate SKUs of product. So we have a pallet of 208s that we can make available to you, or a pallet of 480s. So that's something that I want to make sure that I made a distinction there. Sorry. The next, I think, offering, I mean, I'm going to go on recorded record to say that I think this next bit is probably the secret weapon and may end up being the unheralded most popular product in the long term. There's so much to unpack here with Yotta Vision. I feel bad that we're really just giving it one slide, and we'll be doing some larger reveals about this coming forward. But what can you tell us about what we're putting together with Yotta Vision?
Yeah, Yotta Vision is the name of our new monitoring and software platform. Not new, is the new name for our monitoring software platform. One of the benefits of having a decentralized system is the ability to monitor decentralized devices. And so the Yotta platform the Vision platform allows you to manage all your projects. So if you're a developer, you can have all your projects in one platform. You can monitor consumption and production per site, and you get to have a layout of knowing exactly where components are and where there could be malfunctions, right? So it's very akin to what you get from a microinverter system, but now for solar and storage, and it'll tie in the EV charging as well into this platform. And then there's going to be a lot more, but we want to wait and save some surprises for the future.
Yeah, and there's a couple things that I know that we even discussed before we got on. Like, we don't want to talk about this yet? We said, nope, we've got to hold on to some things. I will say, if you're coming to Anaheim next week to RE Plus, there'll be a couple other surprises that we'll be able to show a little bit, but nothing that we're putting into a webinar presentation just yet. So be sure to come on by and get a preview of some of the other things that we're taking a look at. We're going to move into the kind of the back end housekeeping portion of the presentation today. Is there anything else about any of these products that you want to touch on, or anything that you think we might have missed before we move on?
Nope, just get your orders in. Right now it's supply chain and shipping is a big mess. So he who has products will win out. And so we want to make sure we take care of our customers. They get their orders in, because it's tough getting supply right now.
I think especially when it pertains to the 208 sector, right? There's some manufacturers are having some major deadline issues. And there's like a 6 to 9 month wait on 3-phase 208 solutions. And so we've got that problem addressed.
For now. If you've been on edge with solar and want to change, or you're tired of just an S and an M and an A in a Tygo, and the fact that they're two companies that are related, but their stuff don't really work together all the time. And then this is a good chance to try out something better. We think it's better. We think you'll love the features. The fact that you can plug and play storage into your system makes it extremely simple.
Well, now it's my favorite time of the webinar series. It's when we give stuff away for free. And my marketing team, who has been diligently monitoring us, and so far we haven't gotten any warnings on me, so I think we did okay. They have selected our winner today, and it is our friend. Thanks for joining us. It's our friend Paul Butterly. So Paul, be on the lookout in your inbox for a message from our marketing team. They'll reach out and contact you for an address for where you can get your swag delivered. So take a peek out for that. We're going to get to the questions in just a moment, of which there are a few. Meet us in person. Here's the upcoming trade shows. You may have heard a little bit about something called RE Plus. I'm glad that I called it RE Plus and not the other thing that we all used to call it.
I call it RE Plus.
I think finally this week I've been able to shake the SPI out of the RE Plus. I've been saying it fairly effective. We will be there all week, and we're rolling in strong. We've got, I think, just shy of about 20 Yotta employees, sales, marketing, engineering, finance, run the whole gamut. We'll all be there. If you're interested in having a meeting, please reach out. I will say, I'm very proud of the sales team. We've done a real good job. We got just about all of our time slots are booked for the first 2 days. There's a lot of time available on Thursday, but of course we have some flexibility. If you want to walk up, we've got plenty of people who are readily available to talk to you about everything that you've seen here today and more. And then I think to close out the convention season, good Lord, I hope it's closing out the convention. I feel like I've been at so many of these this year. We got RE Plus Florida in Miami. There's not a, I don't think you think of a better place to be in October than Miami. So I will be attending that show along with my coworkers, Chris and Ashley. Will be in Miami on October 11th and the 12th. That's a good show. That's a nice way to close out the year.
You should request the CEO to join you on that.
I think we have we're booked. We have limits on the amount of people who are allowed to travel. I'm sorry. Maybe next year, sir. We can figure that out. We can squeeze you in. Maybe. You did get to go to Minnesota, right? You were in Minnesota. Minnesota in the springtime is as nice as Miami in the fall.
It was nice. It was nice.
I legitimately do believe that. We're going to kind of take a pause in the webinars for a short bit as we kind of retool everything from the new product offerings, the different trade shows that we've got. But stay tuned. Watch our social media pages for more information. You can find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram at Yotta Energy, and Facebook at Yotta Energy ATX, representing the good city of Austin. Our website's just recently updated. Go take a look at it. It looks fantastic. I'm real proud of that. Of course, general support at yottaenergy.com and the phone number there, which is available in any of those places. Now we've got the questions.
In bear with me. Questions, I want to give a plug to we're working on kicking off what we call the Yotta Roadshow. That's going to be planning a route to travel with the Yotta van and meet with customers. So if you're interested, come to our booth, sign up. We'll have a sign up sheet, and we will be announcing the route after RE Plus SPI. And we want to spend time on the road with our customers. That's the goal.
Yeah, so either sign up at the booth to be a participant in the roadshow or drop us a line. We'd be happy to swing by. We got a good road travel team. We've got some good people that you wouldn't mind getting in front of your customers or in front of your salespeople. We're happy to help out any way we can. So please see what we can do. We're happy to, and we'll bring food too, right? I don't know if we mentioned that.
Yeah, we bring food, drinks, training in some cases. You just have to set up a time, and we'll bring everything. We have an outdoor setup. We'll do a live demo. We'll do live training. Have a good time. We might even bring some jokes. So yes.
Back to the writer's room for me. All right, you ready for a couple questions here? And we're running tight on time, so I'll get to as many of these as I can, and we'll try to answer as many of them after the fact. But our buddy Joe wants to know specifically about REV. In the event of limited sunshine over a prolonged period of time, how much energy storage is available in terms of hours of charging?
Yeah, so great question, Joe. So primarily we want, if the grid is present, you should tie the grid in. The only time you would go with the off-grid version is if it's too costly to bring the grid to where you want it at in an off-grid situation. And so the grid serves as like a backup, almost like it trickle charges the system. But that's why we are completely expandable with the battery. So the core unit that you see in this image back here can fit up to 300 kilowatt hours. And so 300 kilowatt hours, even if there's very low solar, if it's full, it's probably enough for about 6 vehicles of charging. And then we have the XL, which is, again, a 34 kW of solar, so it can recharge the system, and that can be up to 600 kilowatt hours of stored energy. We are also working on some other technology that could make these even more usable in off-grid situations. So, but the way to think about this is the REV that we've had here at the office. It's actually 80 kilowatt hours inside. Is the first one of the prototype ones. During the day, we don't touch the batteries, and that's when we do most of our charging. It's power coming directly from the solar array directly to the vehicles, which is, to me, is a beautiful thing.
This is a pretty good question. I hadn't even considered this. I mean, we've heard about it, but how is REV delivered? So there's a lot of things to look at there. How does this thing get delivered to a customer?
So REV will be delivered either by Yotta or one of our partners. When the customer is ready to purchase, we will send out a team to do a site assessment, make sure that where it's going is suitable, or do we need to build a pad? If it's grid tied, there needs to be a plan for set up a meter and doing the grid tie-in. But yeah, the whole thing is delivered on a back of basically a tow truck, and a tow truck with a crane. And so travel all over the country, be plopped down, and then from the time that it's dropped down, it's less than 48 hours from start to finish, and you have a fully functioning, beautifully designed EV charging station.
In regards to the
If you want
solar,
the commercial that we made, it's on our website, and you see one actually being delivered. So
that commercial is pretty great. If you haven't seen that, there may or may not be a Hollywood celebrity narrating that thing. I thought that was a nice touch. So if you get a chance to watch that commercial, that's certainly worth checking out. Do we, in regards as it pertains to the solar leaf, I mean, what kind of financing is available?
So we have financing for all the products, and we have a full-time person, Jonathan, who is our VP of Structured Finance. You should never not move forward with a project because you don't have financing. We have financing on all the products, and it's including Rev that we'll be rolling out. And so most of the CNI ecosystem is going to be on like a 20-year PPA structure, or you go lower. And then I think with Rev, we have 5, 10, and 15-year financing options that we'll be rolling out.
What type of, again, as it pertains to the solar leaf, what kind of mounting accessories are required? What kind of racking do we use for the solar leaf?
Good question. So we are right now, the solar leaf, as far as CNI ballasted, exclusively partnered with Panel Call and integrated. And so we also have the UL certs on that integration. But we are working with other partners as well. We also have a lot of customers that do pipe-based designs on multifamily. And so you can mount, the solar leaf has both top mounts and bottom mounts. So you can mount it onto Iron Ridge or really any rail system. And so as we grow, we'll come out with more attachments, but just get in touch with our team. We have mechanical engineers. We can always figure out a solution for attachment.
I will say, having worked in this space for a while, when you create a product like this that has this much attention, that this much demand, the racking company certainly, they're a lot more amenable to coming up with a solution for you. So if you've got a particular solution that you like, reach out to them and say, hey, what's your fix for, what Yotta's got going on with the solar leaf? We're in conversations with most of the major manufacturers right now. And if they don't have something readily available, they will have something soon. But of course, any type of inquiries that you put their way certainly helps.
Yeah, but with that also, we want to streamline. It's not the perfect thing for everything. And we get a question about retrofitting.
Yeah.
It's technically doable, but you lose some of the value add of the ease of installation if you don't start from day one. I remind people only 4% of buildings have solar, so you have 96% of the market that doesn't need to be retrofitted. But Panel Call is a great partner. They're number one for a reason. They produce in the United States, and it was purposely designed to work together. So and we also do Panel Call training. There's a lot of installers that never done a flat rooftop system, and we'll come out with our team and we'll run you through the training on how to do in Panel Call's product. So we have a good partnership with Panel Call on that front. Yeah,
I think Panel Call is kind of the chocolate to our solar leaf peanut butter. It's been quite the marriage. It's worked out very nice. Let's see, we got time for one more. So let me. All right. So yeah, I think generally speaking, I think we touch on this a little bit, but this is another one that I want to make sure that we circle around again. What is it, Omi, that makes the solar leaf safe to have on the roof under a module?
Yeah, so the number one thing is, well, there's many things, but one is our selection of our cells. We use lithium iron phosphate, which are non-toxic, extremely stable. You can puncture it and it just off gases and have this huge thermal runaway that NMC has. But then beyond that, it's the pack design, the BMS, the thermal management that keeps the product in a very comfortable temperature zone. And then parts of the thermal management technology, like our ceramic, actually acts as a fire retardant. It builds a firewall. So there's essentially a 1-hour firewall built into every product. And then on top of that, there's a safety in the size, right? Size matters in this case. And, the solar leaf is a nominal 1 kilowatt-hour capacity. And it makes it extremely safe, because even if for some reason, let's say someone breaks into it with an axe or something and forces a thermal runaway, it's 1 kilowatt-hour. It's not that dangerous. It cannot be compared to energy storage when you're putting a megawatt-hour in one contained space like a shipping container. That to me is very dangerous. And we're going to prove this to the market over time. They're going to just how safe this product is, how effective it is. And it's just one of those paradigm shifts. You know, it was one time it sounded crazy to put microinverters and power electronics on the rooftop. And today it's commonplace. The same thing's going to happen with energy storage. If we can make it safe, if we can build a thermal management system for it, and then why not, right? It's much safer than putting it inside of a building.
I think that's a great way to close this out. Why not? I think that's a great way to close that out. And I appreciate your time with me. I know we've tried to get you on these before, and you've got an incredibly busy schedule. I know that you share the anticipation that I have about getting out and seeing everybody after 3 years away from the formerly known as SPI, now RE Plus show. Please come by, say hello. We're excited to see everybody there again, some familiar faces, and keep a lookout for the next round of webinars. If you have a suggestion of something you'd like us to drill into a little bit heavier, please drop us a line. But Omid, thanks again for your time. I really appreciate it.
Ryan, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Sales team's doing great. Let's kick those numbers into high gear.
You got it. All right, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.